Hi everyone, hope you're all well. Sorry if there's a little bit of an echo in my recording. I have my microphone back, but the room I'm in just has no insulation, so yeah, sorry. You might just have to put up with it. So, since I'm still gripped in the clutches of Fakemon hell, I've got another redesign video for you. I say that, but I'm actually really enjoying myself doing these, and it's been really fun to revisit these particular designs, which I did when I was a teenager. So I won't delay us, let's get into it. The first group are some graph starters, and I say that in big inverted commas because these were not starter worthy designs at all. For this first attempt, I just kind of wanted to get to grips with drawing a moose, since that's the animal the line is based on. But then as I carried on drawing this one, for some reason, the idea of making it an ice type came into my head, so it just became like a solo Pokemon. There weren't any evolutions involved. I was envisioning antlers either made of ice or that had icicles hanging from it, which is all very, very original, I know. But I was really just treating this design as a warm-up, and I thought the name Frusin was really cute. One thing I'm either really good at, or really bad at, is researching lore or reasons why I decided the Pokemon looks the way it does. I can either go a couple of days completely engrossed in folklores and mythologies or explanations for natural phenomena, or I can't be arsed to do any of it, and I just draw what I think looks cool or cute. The latter instance is kind of what happened with all of the designs in this video. I treated them as if my 15-year-old self gave me her old designs and said, "Don't change the concept, just update how they look." And I would tell her, well, there was no concept anyway, so no problem. I did agonise a lot more on updating the names that I did for the explanations behind the designs, and even then I'm not 100% on a few of them. The next attempt at the graph line is the proper one. Again, I kind of went in not having an iota of how I wanted to tackle it, but I just let myself draw and see if anything I liked came out of it. If I liked how the face turned out, I'd keep it. If the legs looked weird, I'd fiddle around until they looked right, and so on. A lot of my general process for things is trial and error, so as frustrating as it can get sometimes, especially if I just can't get down what's in my head, it can also be a really enjoyable process to watch back and see how my trains of thought change through the whole thing. There's something, I think, that's so satisfying about looking through all of the different iterations of something as it moves towards its final result. The concept for this line kind of came into being as I drew them out, settling on the theme of camouflage and mimesis, which is a new word for me, and apparently means mimicry or the representation of something else. So the first form, Mossling, has a little bush on his head so he can hide in the shrubs while his mother is away. I was really intent as well on reminding myself about keeping lines and textures consistent, and what I mean by that is using lots of rounded shapes and lines to evoke something soft and gentle, or using straight lines and spikes if it's something more aggressive. I have a tendency to mix them in ways that don't really make sense, like the long hair that I did around Mossling's hooves, but I turned it puffy and bush-like in the end for, like I said, a softer look. It evolves into Mimousis, which has covered itself in like this little hood and a shawl made of leaves. Its face is poking out as if it's trying to peek from its hiding place, and I coloured it as if it were completely shrouded in shadow. I always consider the second evolution in a line of 3 as kind of like the moody teenager of the bunch. So I usually end up trying to convey feelings of either wanting to retreat and hide or just general brattiness. But with Mimousis, I had a moment when I was like, nah, I'm tired of that. I want him to be a cheerful little guy. So I gave him a little smile to make him more friendly looking. Even if it's in his nature to hide all the time, he still wants to peek out at everyone else and make friends, which is just so Pokemon. In the original sketches, it looks like I just called it Antler, but it's Anfleur, which, as far as I remember, was supposed to be from the French word fleur. I don't know, it sounded bad anyway. Our Bruce was really hard to pin down. I wasn't sure if I wanted it to have been completely taken over by the thicket or to have it be a cleaner, more put together design. I initially liked the idea of the shrubs, or whatever, hanging down almost like plaits or braids, but it just looked too busy, And it reminded me of those old powdered wigs that judges used to wear. So I did away with that, and I kept going into something else that I think looks expected, but I preferred it, so I carried on. Its full head is completely poking out of the shrubbery now, since it's older and more confident. The buds on Mimoose's horns have developed into near tree-like structures, which helps our Bruce also hide in plain sight when it's in the forest. One of the main qualities I really wanted to capture is like the size of it compared to a person, so I just did a quick little example of that. It's one of the few Pokemon whose name I ended up not changing, mostly because I couldn't think of anything. I nearly called it Verdmoose, but that was really dumb, so I changed it back. For the shinies, again, I don't really think it through, which is bad, I know, and I know there's no good reason why our Bruce would have a cherry blossom palette, but to be honest, I think it looks lovely, so I don't really care. I usually just go with colours that I think look nice, and that's kind of my main method of madness, I suppose. So here are the results for the grass-type moose Pokemon. I know it's nothing to be bowled over by, but by comparison, it's definitely miles ahead of the old designs, and I'm actually really happy with them. Next up are the Weasel-inspired Fire-type line. And I am going to say it now, I think the redesign of the first form, Rosal, might be the most adorable thing I have ever drawn in my life, and I really want a plush of him. With these next designs, I was having a lot of trouble making them not look like cats, so I don't know if I fully succeeded there, but Rosal is just the cutest little thing ever, so I don't care either way. One of the main principles I use for designing Pokemon is, would I use it? So if yes, then good. If no, then I'll redo it. I don't necessarily have a favourite style of Pokemon. I'm a Gen 1er, so the Charmander line is still a solid favourite, but then other top favourites are Starmie, Sentret, Ledian, Jumpluff, Sunflora, Lugia, Torchic, Torterra, Lopunny, Yanmega, Kovabrigus, Joltik, Chandelure, Dragalge, Hisuian, Lilligant, and Decidueye, Incineroar, Charjabug, Stuffle, Xurkitree, Buzzwole, Hoppapus, Margieleki, Calyrex, Fuecoco, Sandy Shocks, and Okidogi, which I think covers a wide enough range. Rostoat. Oh my god, that face has haunted me since the day I drew it. I don't know if it's his smug little sneer or the weird nose or what, but this design makes me so uncomfortable. It's one of the main reasons I wanted to redraw all of these Pokemon in the first place. I just knew that thing had to go. I had the idea to base the new design on the mongoose that appeared in the anime years ago. You know, the way just random real world animals would just be there sometimes. And I think this was an episode that I missed when it was first released, but as far as I know, I think it's a ghastly or something that's tormenting everyone and turns into a real mongoose when Jessie sends her Ekans to fight it. Which, cool. Okay. So this is also when I actually did look it up a bit, and apparently weasels and mongoose, or like mongoose or mongooses, I don't know, mongoose are not part of the same biological family, which was news to me, but that didn't stop me from making it a part of this line because I'd already decided I would at that point. Anyway, they look similar enough for me to stretch that discrepancy for the final evolution, and it would still look like it made more sense than Remoraid to Octillery, even though I know the design logic behind them, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Rostoat just got an extra S in its name because it sounded better than Rotote, and then it's literally just Roast and Stoat together. The colouring also kind of got me a bit for a lot of the process because I felt like it was making him look more fox-like than Stoat-like, even though I don't even really know how to colour Stoats. But anyway, what I think helped in the end was the light and the shadow rendering, so yay for that. The final evolution's name was changed from Stolder, which could work for something else, but I don't think it sounds cool enough. No. Now he's Mongboost. I was really stumped for a lot of the sketching process for him. Apparently mongoose and meerkats are actually closer relatives, so I eventually decided on an upright pose, but like with a bit more of an attitude. This guy is really sure of himself and he thinks he's hot stuff, so that had to come across in the design more now too. But like, oh my god, I just couldn't get him right. There was just something off the whole time, that even when I finished everything, like I had done the rendering, I had exported the file, etc., and then I went to bed, and the whole time I was just thinking, like, he's not right. There was just something kind of at me the whole time about it. I think for me, there was just too much of a jarring jump between Roastoad and Mongoose. Like the design from one didn't make sense into the other. Also, I kind of kept feeling like Mongoose was just looking a bit like too dragony and tigery. The loss of the head shape that the previous two forms had was eventually what I decided was the key missing feature. So after coming back to it the next morning, I knew I had to redo him. Not much, thankfully. I just went over what I already had and I kept the body, but I just changed some of the features. Like I got rid of some of the extraneous details and I changed the flame on its tail to look more dynamic. Like the little ember had become a full-on rocket, just to kind of look a bit more cohesive with the spikiness of the rest of his design. So now I feel that there's a much more natural progression between Mongoose and its pre-evolutions. The line, to me, feels a lot more cohesive as a whole. Maybe you disagree. I don't know, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions on these designs. And even if they're not more cohesive, even if you do disagree with me, I still designed Rosal, so it's not all bad. If any of them could become real, I'd choose him. So that's it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun redesigning all of these Pokemon and revisiting all of these old designs that I did when I was a kid. I'd love to do more because I definitely have a folder somewhere of like other really poorly drawn Fakemon designs, so I'd love to find them and redo them as well. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!